So maybe you think that you're in love with somebody who has an avoidant attachment style because you find yourself constantly ruminating about them, thinking about them almost all day, every day, and even constantly checking their social media and wondering where they are or what they're up to. But there's a pretty big difference between love and limerence. In other words, love and a chemical obsession. And if you are somebody with a more anxious leaning attachment style, limerence can feel like it is love at first sight, but it might actually be more of a trap than you realize. And in fact, if you don't understand the crucial differences between love and limerence, you may keep choosing people who activate your wounds instead of activate your growth. So in today's video, we're going to break down 5 crucial signs that you might just be in limerence with an avoidant and what this actually means about you and your childhood. And at the end of this video, I'm going to take you through some very grounding questions to help you clearly decipher the difference. And some of these questions might actually change not just this situation for you right now, but your whole entire future when it comes to these types of situations. So first and foremost, if you're not already familiar, limerence is essentially obsessive infatuation. It was a term coined by a psychologist named Dorothy Tenoff, I believe in 1979, and is sort of making its way into mainstream psychology nowadays because of how prevalent it is and how much it's actually associated with more anxious leaning attachment styles. And don't get me wrong, dismissive ones can definitely be in limerence too, but it just tends to look slightly different. So limerence seems to mimic love in a way, but instead of being fueled by healthy connection, a deep getting to know each other, asking questions, moving at a pace that makes sense, understanding each other's needs and boundaries, instead, limerence is essentially fueled by fantasy, anxiety, and unmet emotional needs. And what I mean by this is that somebody who's in a state of limerence usually is connecting more in the fantasy world with the object of limerence than in reality. In fact, you may find yourself painting these elaborate fantasies of like you traveling with this person or spending time with this person without even knowing a ton about that person as a whole. And a lot of times, if you're more anxiously attached, you may mistake this intensity for intimacy when in fact they are two separate things. Those euphoric highs when you get attention or you seem to get closer to that person, but then those crashing lows when things don't seem to go as planned, that push-pull dynamic seems to reinforce this roller coaster state. And if there seems to be these moments of rejection, what you'll find happens is rather than seeing this person as maybe not available or understanding their flaws, you'll usually see your object of limerence through this very idealized viewpoint. In other words, you'll see all of the good parts of them, but you won't see the parts that are potentially incompatible or the places where you're not getting your needs met or things just aren't lining up. And so when there's a lot of this push-pull already of confusion and inconsistency combined with this idealization, sometimes you are not seeing the object of limerence and the impact they have on your life clearly. And this is what I really want to break down, which is the fact that when you're in limerence and you're anxiously attached, idealization, unfortunately, literally replaces reality. And a lot of times, what this means is that you build this fantasy of who this person is, but you're not seeing the red flags. Okay. Maybe you're not seeing how this person's not showing up for your needs or may not be emotionally available to you at this time. Maybe you're not seeing that they're not open to progressing the connection. Maybe you're not seeing that, wait, there could be some toxic parts to this relationship. And maybe even your boundaries aren't being respected or upheld. Maybe some of your needs aren't even getting met much. But what I want you to understand here more than anything else is that if you're in this position, often limerence is a form of emotional escapism that anxiously leaning individuals, so anxious attachment styles, fearful avoidance with a really strong anxious side, literally use for self-soothing. And what you're actually self-soothing are the deepest unmet needs you have from early life. Okay, so let me break this down for you. And this is where I really want to go through some questions here, okay? And hopefully you can sort of follow along with this and actually take the time to like pause this video as needed and really answer some of these questions. What you're going to see is that the things that you're in limerence with the most, there's 2 underlying features. Number one, you're basically in a place of learned helplessness or out of relationship to these needs that you projected onto this person in the fantasy world. So let's say you're in limerence with somebody who's dismissive avoidant. And let's say that, you imagine that in the future they're going to see how special you are and how amazing you are, and they're going to give you that presence and attention that you need. And so maybe you imagine them sort of like whisking you away on a date or to a new place. In that particular situation, when you're imagining that or sort of going through that like image of that taking place, in that particular situation, what you're often going to find is that the very needs that you're projecting into the fantasy world are things that you are struggling to meet in the relationship to yourself. So you imagine this person seeing how special you are because you are not owning your own uniqueness. You are not owning your internal sense of significance and allowing yourself and your needs to matter. So you project mattering onto someone else and try to get that need met through their eyes because you feel helpless to meet that in your own life. Or another version of this could be that you imagine this person really being present with you and giving you that attention and that consistency. But the reality is that you're probably yearning for that because you're not good at being present with yourself. You're always externally focused on other people's needs or feelings. And so you project this outwards thinking, okay, let me get closer to that. And you yearn for that. But in reality, what's actually happening a lot of the time is that you're just not in a place where you know how to be present with your own feelings, with your own needs. You may not have to sit with your own emotions and self-soothe properly. So you project it outwards, hoping that it will get met through this fantasy in the outside world. But what that's actually representing and what Limerence is really unpacking and telling you is that, hey, you are in learned helplessness in this place in your own life. And exactly the same places, and I really want to make this clear, exactly the same places that you are going to be in learned helplessness the most are the places that you are going to accept the breadcrumbs and uphold your standards the least. If you're somebody who's truly interested in helping others while also securing financial freedom for your future, there is a limited time option to join our 50% off certified relationship coach program. And this is a 12-week program where you can create financial freedom, work from anywhere in the world, and truly make an impact on other individuals' lives by becoming a certified relationship coach in just 12 weeks. Throughout this entire 12 weeks, you will learn all of the tools that you need to discover somebody's attachment style and help them heal and change their attachment style if they are insecurely attached so that they can become secure and build the best relationships of their life. On top of that, you'll learn all about the subconscious mind and how to actually rewire our painful limiting beliefs, our painful behavioral patterns, and help your clients learn their relationship needs, as well as the needs of their loved ones. You'll also learn how to build a thriving coaching practice and set yourself up for long-term success. You'll learn all of the business tips and tools you need to build funnels, leverage marketing strategies, and really thrive in the marketplace. Even if you have absolutely no coaching experience, this certification will give you everything you need starting from scratch to become a thriving relationship coach. You can find more using the link down below. So you're going to be in a position where if you don't know how to make yourself feel seen or special or important, you're like a 1 out of 10. And someone comes along and gives you a 2, they make you feel seen and special and important 2 out of 10 times, 20% of the time. That's not a score high enough to want to be in a relationship with somebody, in my opinion. That's not what we should be settling for. But if you're starving, you're going to accept breadcrumbs and you're going to be like all about it. And so a lot of times what's happening is if somebody's giving you a 2 or a 3 out of 10 in regards to a need that you don't know how to meet yourself more than a 1, you're going to be like, well, that's 20% better. And you are going to be captured by those breadcrumbs because those breadcrumbs represent the place you're starving, basically more than anything, for more than anything. So what ends up happening is you'll find yourself fantasizing, and then where the person's not meeting your needs enough, you will project into the fantasy world that it will grow, that it will change, that they'll be better. And you won't see the reality of like what's actually happening. Wait, this person does not text me consistently. Whoa, I would like to be in a relationship with somebody if I'm going to commit to somebody who just at least shows up and texts consistently, but you're not seeing that, right? You're not able to consciously evaluate. So that's what I really want to do here together with you right now that you understand this piece. Okay. So far, just to summarize, limerence is this obsessive infatuation. It's not love because a lot of times it's not reciprocal. There's not mutual growth. You're not getting to know somebody. There's not a lot of progress in the relationship. And you're probably going to find yourself connecting much more with this person in the fantasy world than in reality. And the reason that happens is because this person represents the biggest unmet needs you have that you don't know how to meet and show up for in yourself. And so you outsource them onto somebody else because you don't know how to meet them. And then even though that person outside of you is probably going to breadcrumb you with them, you're like, well, I'm going to accept the breadcrumbs because I'm so hungry. And so that's to summarize so far. Now, I want to take you through some like sobering questions here. I just want to say before I do this, It's Mental Health Month for May. So if you want to dive in and actually go into some of our courses fully for free for 14 days, including a whole course on limerence to resolve it, get through it, come out on the other side, it will heal your heart. It will put you in a place where you're much more prepared for healthy future relationships and you don't settle. You actually uphold your standards. That's going to happen through working through limerence and understanding what needs you're starving for and how to actually execute on those in a really healthy way. And it's going to make you have the ability to sustain longer term relationships because you're not running on empty. Anyways, if you want to check that all out, plus all these other courses for free for 14 days, we do this like twice a year. Click the link below and I will put that link below for you. So let's go through some questions, okay? Question number one, there's going to be 5 questions here. How much are your needs actually being met from 1 to 10? Okay, that's my first question for you. Because if you're looking at somebody and they're meeting your needs a 3 out of 10, right? That's going to be a sobering question. So that's my very first question. Okay, how much is this person actually meeting your needs from 1 to 10? Question number 2, in a healthy relationship that's secure, that's connected, that's something where you're truly feeling really good from that relationship, it's adding a lot of benefit to your life. How much do you think your needs should be met from 1 to 10? Okay. And the answer to that is like somebody should at least be showing up really effectively 80% of the time. People aren't going to be perfect. We should be batting for closer to 90, but if you're getting a solid 80%, that's good, right? And it doesn't mean that they meet your needs exclusively. You're going to meet your needs too, but somebody should be showing up from their end at least 80% of the time, okay? In a healthy, secure, sustainable relationship. Number 3, how is this person actually making you feel? Because a lot of the time we ignore those red flags and we're like, oh my gosh, but I can't wait for that text and you're waiting for that dopamine hit. And when there's all this uncertainty and then they finally answer you, you're like, oh my gosh. And you put so much value on the breadcrumb itself that a lot of times you don't realize all the space in between where you're actually not feeling much good at all, right? Like, wait, I actually feel 90% miserable in this dynamic and 10% excited or happy. Now, by the way, I'm not saying that all avoidants show up this way. A lot of dismissive avoidants do show up, they do the work. But you need to be vetting for that if you're even considering staying in a relationship dynamic. Is somebody actually progressing? Are they growing? Are they accountable in their behavior, right? And a lot of times, honestly, anxiously attached individuals are just going after people and pursuing people who are like not only emotionally unavailable, but who are not making them feel good. Okay. It's not, they're almost like 2 separate problems. Somebody can be emotionally unavailable, but then somebody can also actually not make you feel good because they don't show up well, irrespective of attachment style. And a lot of times APs, anxious attachment styles, they opt for that double whammy, right? Like they kind of go for both. So that's a really important question to just check in with here, okay? Number 4, the things that you fantasize about with this person in the fantasy world. What are the themes? What are the patterns? What are the needs? Okay? So do you fantasize about this person seeing you as special? Going on new experiences with this person, like maybe it's a novelty need, showing up and giving you certainty and pulling through. Maybe there's that certainty need. Like, what are the things that you tend to fantasize about with this person the most? Okay, that's my next big question for you. And take the time to write out those needs. Okay. By the way, in the 14-day free trial, if you don't know much about your needs, there's a whole needs course and questionnaires to really determine what your needs are. But then I want to ask you, number 5, how much do you feel like you have healthy sources of getting those needs met outside of this person, but in particular in the relationship to yourself from 1 to 10? And usually you'll see, okay, wait, I'm not able to, those very specific needs I fantasize about, I'm not able to really show up for in the relationship to myself. And I don't even really have other healthy sources. And to go hand in hand, this is like part B of that question, which is arguably one of the most important parts. Do you have a long-standing history of these needs not being met in your childhood? And a lot of times you'll see like, whoa, I'm waiting for somebody to make me feel seen because I never felt seen. Or I'm waiting for somebody to express warmth and supportiveness because I didn't feel that. And a lot of the time, what you're seeking has a long-standing history in your conditioning. So that is why it's so important to be able to work through these things. Hopefully those are some sobering questions to help you decipher love versus limerence, especially if you're not seeing like progress. You can ask yourself some other questions. Am I seeing progress in this relationship dynamic? Are this person's actions indicating that there's progress, not just their words, not just what they're saying? Like these are all things to check in with and see where you really stand. So I hope this was helpful for you today. Thank you so much for watching and for stopping by. Make sure you subscribe if you don't want to miss any videos like this on a daily basis or any cool promotions or exciting features we have coming out to share with you. And that's it for today. I hope to see you soon.